So, hey, y'all, hey, and welcome to another session of Meditations with Marigny. So, I wanted to come on and I wanted to give you a quick college tour tip. So, this video is strategically for parents who may have a child that is a junior and or senior in your home and they are preparing to get ready to go away for college. So, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. And this, I'm going to be speaking from my experience as an educator, but I'm also speaking from my experience as a parent. And I want to talk about kind of releasing the reins, giving room for critical thinking. And I am looking at decisions that we make while our children are in our home, and then decisions that we expect for them to make once they are out of our home. And the reason that I'm having this conversation is because my son was scheduled to take the SAT this morning, and we had talked about it last night. He had a late night because he had a baseball game. And once we talked about the decision for how he was going to move this morning, we got his computer set up and everything. Then this morning, he had to get up and actually execute that. And one of the things that he did, he called me when he got to his location. And he was like, "Mom, I don't know. I don't see my license. And I'm trying to see if they're going to take me this, that, and the other." And I said, "Son, you're going to have to work that out." And I made a decision when I hung up the phone from him. I said, he'll either work it out or he'll miss the test. And there will be a lesson learned in both of these. One of the lessons that I'm sure he learned, if he was able to take the test once we talk later. One of the lessons that I'm sure he learned is make sure you have everything together. And then the other lesson would have been, if he had not been able to take the test, is that you have to prepare yourself for the things that you are expecting to do that are important. But what I wanted to look at is oftentimes we expect for children to make, and when I say children, young adults, to make decisions that require critical thinking. But oftentimes in the Black and brown community, we don't create avenues for them to do that. I want us to really think about that. Within our households, oftentimes our children are told what to do, and they have to follow those rules specifically. In my home, there is a standard that my children have to meet. There are rules and things that are governed by my household that they are required to follow. But within my home, I also create a way for my boys to think critically. And that is a strategic method of me not only preparing them for making decisions in the home, but I'm trying to prepare them for life. I am always thinking in the back of my mind that at some point they are going to be somebody's husband, somebody's father. I want them to be able to make decisions. And as an educator, one of the biggest downfalls that I see is that oftentimes children are not given choices. They don't have the opportunity to choose between one item and another to critically think about what is going to be the best decision. What is the best pathway to get to this destination? And then how is it that I can critically think that process through? And for parents that are preparing to send their children off to college, one of the things that you really have to think about is your child is not going to be in college with you unless you're planning on going to that college campus or unless they're living at home with you. That's a different situation. But I'm talking about students that are going to be packing up and leaving. My son will probably be leaving for a summer session, but students that will be packing up and leaving in the fall, when they leave your house, they are going to no longer be under your umbrella. There's going to be a high level of freedom that they have not been accustomed to if you are one of those parents that keep such a tight rein on them. And I'm saying that because with both of my boys, during their senior year, I pulled back quite a bit. I'm still there managing. I'm still there watching. I'm still there guiding. But intentionally, I pulled back because when they get to that college campus, I need for them to be able to make a decision when that peer pressure is showing up for them to go to the party, when the peer pressure is showing up for them to become sexually active, when the peer pressure is showing up for them to drink the alcohol, when the peer pressure is showing up for them to try the marijuana, when the peer pressure is showing up, if you have had such a tight rein on them, they're going to try it, and they're going to buck the system. They're going to buck the very system that you put in place and you thought that you had in control for them. And the reason that I'm saying those things, guys, is because when we put such a tight rein on someone, now my parents, we could do that 50 years ago. Yes, you could do it. But with this generation here, you can't. You have to give them choices. They have had choices, and then they have access to knowledge that we did not have access to. Unless you're going to put them in a bubble and send them off to the wilderness somewhere, they're going to have access to things that you never could have thought of. So you got to be having those conversations now. You got to have those conversations, and you got to give them the freedom and the space to know that it is safe to have a conversation with you. Now, does that mean that you are going to give them free rein to make whatever decisions that they want? No, it just means that they have to know that they can come to you and have a conversation, and it can then be discussed, not shut down. And I'm just thinking about, I remember when I dropped my oldest son off at college, and he said something, and I'm going to close with this. He said something to me when he was getting ready to go. He had gotten a scholarship from one of the local fraternities here, and they met with all the boys that got the scholarships, and they met with them like a couple of weeks before they went off to college. And they gave them like a little gift basket. So it was like a laundry basket, and it had like laundry detergent, toothpaste, things like that. Some of the very basic things you need to get started. And I remember my son saying that one of the brothers from the fraternity was talking to them about wrap it up. Wrap it up. When you get to college, wrap it up. And I was like, wrap what up? And he was like, Mama, wrap it up, you know. And so if you've ever watched my videos, you hear me talk about how I keep my son or kept my sons in programs that were surrounded with strong men, because by me being a single mother most of that time, I wanted them to have that impartation from men. And so he said, oh, Mama, he was telling us we better wrap it up, this, that, and the other. And so I said, I want to know something, you know. I asked him a direct question. Are you sexually active? He said, no. I said, are you thinking about it? He said, sometimes I do. So when we got to the college campus, we went to Walmart. I would never forget the day. And it was so funny. We went to Walmart and we had gotten all this stuff, you know, everything we needed. He was like, Mama, we got everything. What you looking for? I was over in the, health area, and I was looking for, yes, some wrap up. And he said, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? And I couldn't find it. I was going up and down the aisles, and finally I found it. I stood there. He said, what are you looking for? I said, hey, I need you to pick out what you need right here. And he was like, Mama, I don't want this. This is not what I want to be talking about with my mama, this, that, and the other. And I'm saying that to say that though I encouraged my son to not engage in sexual activities outside of marriage, that is something that I had encouraged. I had to be wise enough as a mother to say, I heard what my son said. And it would have been a foolish woman that would then send her son into a place where he did not understand protecting himself from that which could cause him to have life-changing events to happen with him. And we joke about it now, you know. He was like, Mama, I ain't know what you were looking for. I was like, child, I wasn't finna drop you off at no campus. And I think the ratio on his campus was something like 20-1. Yeah. No. And these girls, y'all girls, they way more savvy than the boys. Like, they don't have a clue. But the long and the short is I listened. And as a mother, I made a decision. And that's as a Christian mother. I want to make sure y'all understand I'm saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. But I'm not foolish by any means that our children are growing up in a world where it is no longer safe to think that just because you teach them something, that that is what they are going to do. What I know is that we need to be wise enough to hear when our children are speaking to us, and we need to be wise enough to give them the capacity. We can fill them with what we need to give them to equip them to make decisions when they are faced with hard and challenging times. And, he went on to make his own decisions in that area. But at the end of the day, I did my part as a mother. And as a mom, I listened to what he was saying. I heard it and then I put an action to it. And I'm saying to you, parents that have children at home, you got about 2 more months if that child is getting ready to go away to school. Let the reins go. Give them some freedom. See whether or not they're going to give them the decision. Hey, you got to be in the house by 12 o'clock. And then see whether or not they're going to follow through with that. Because if they get to college, they don't have a curfew in the dorms. You come in when you get ready. Now, a lot of the schools are putting in some more stricter policies for freshmen, and that's because they noticed over the years that they saw that students were falling off. So they have some things in place. And that's another reason. This is just a college tip for some parents that may want to take advantage of this. That's another reason I strongly encourage parents that have students that are going off to school in the fall, allow that child to go to school during the summer prior to. You still have time for your child to apply for summer session. And the reason that you would like to do that is because it's going to put your child on the campus when there is not as much activity. Things are moving a little bit slower, but it allows the child to get a chance to know the campus. It allows them a chance to get to know where most of their classes are going to be held. And by the time everybody comes in the fall, that newness of being on campus, that new freedom, all of that, it has already worn off. And so your child is a little bit more acclimated to campus in their preparation for becoming a freshman and being successful in their first year of college. So I hope that these tips have helped you just a little. I'm going to come back with a few more college tips over the next few weeks and kind of press out some things. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about scholarships, about college acceptances and how to look at your financial aid packages. And then if there's something that you would like to know, I would love for you to jump in the comments, give me some feedback. And also, you are welcome to email me at meditationswithmarigny, and that's meditations with an S at gmail.com. And if you send it there, I'd be happy to kind of hash it out for you. And I think I'm going to go and do a few more lives. Like the live was really good the other day. So I'm going to go back through the comments and see what everybody's saying. I'm going to reply to a few people and see if I can get us conversing about what you guys would like to talk about the next time. But other than that, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining my channel. I'm going to say thank you for watching. If you like the videos, click like. I'd love for you to share it with a friend, and I would be honored if you would subscribe. Have an awesome day, y'all. Bye.